Well, g'day guys, welcome to Tim's Garage. And this is a video I was never going to make. It's actually a video that started almost 4 years ago now. And it's a video that that didn't go to plan. Now, as you know, the idea of the YouTube channel was always just to help people. And it was just a bit of fun. It's a great way to hang out. It was based around the, initially the platform of the MPS, which is great, or Mazda Speed, whatever you want to call it. And when I moved back from Sydney back to Victoria, pressure changed, family was getting older, work pressure changed, family was getting older, and the season shifted a bit. And, most of the videos were already made. If you wanted to do something with your Mazda, you didn't just have to go to my channel. There was videos everywhere that people were making, and often a lot better than the stuff that I was making. That's okay, like it was all good. Then a guy reached out and asked if I could work on his car. I said no originally, just for the same reasons I just explained, but then I kind of caved. He got me on a I don't know, good day, bad day, whatever you want to call it. And I said, yeah, okay, I'll work on your car. That was during that COVID period of season. And remember, I picked up the car when I was crook. And anyway, here's some of the footage of what it looked like when I first got the car, and here's some of the mods. So let's rewind almost 4 years ago. Well, on this episode of Tim's Garage, we're working on a Mazda. It's been a while. Let's dive in. Well, it has been a while. This is a Gen 2 Mazda MPS or Mazda Speed, 70,000 Ks on the clock, so it hasn't done much. Beautiful car. And the guy who owns this wants the absolute works as far as bolt-ons go. So we're talking turbo. It had a top man intercooler, which was upgraded, and an exhaust system. That's about it. So we've gone turbo, we've gone the supporting mods around intake, sensors and everything else. And so this car is absolutely brilliant. And the reason I haven't started it yet is, you'll see why. Let's start this thing. It's a little noisy, but kind of cool. Let's go for a spin. So the basic list of mods on this is the turbo. He wants the ultimate goal for this car. It's probably a better question. Is the owner wants to be able to do some rolling drags in it, as well as just your everyday car. Of course, not many people can afford multiple cars, and so the goal is to have a stock tune on just pump petrol, normal petrol, 98 octane premium unleaded in Australia. And this thing's got a note. And he would like to be able to then also head out and do the odd rolling drag, which he wants methanol for as well. So the goal is to have a couple of different tunes. One tune is the pump gas, the other one adds methanol into the mix. And so what that looks like is in the form of a methanol injection kit, which is, they're awesome. This one's got a progressive controller in it as well. And so first things first, we're going to dive in, get the turbo ready, then we'll go from there. The first thing we need to do is get access to the turbo, so we're going to start taking off some of the shrouds, the intercooler, the intake, in order to get to that turbo. I'm using a H4 just Torx bit on these, so it's got 10mm on the bottom because they are really, really solid. Oh yeah. Let's see if we can. There we go. There we go. Well, that is nice and tight. Use some machines and speed up the process. Taking off top mount intercooler. This is an upgraded, but it's fairly similar to the stock one. You got 2 bolts at the front, 1 at the back. At the moment, the intercooler is free. You can actually move that now because all it's holding that on will be the silicon. And let's make sure I don't lose these metal grommets in it. It does have a blow off valve which we'll pull off. That'll have a couple of clamps because it plumbs back into the intake, which of course we're also going to remove. What I'm aiming to do at the moment is just to get this off and get access to the bolts for the turbo. Spray them with some penetrating fluid and leave that for a little while. So that's my actual goal. I may take the intake off while we're here doing some stuff, but we'll see. Worth doing a quick check. We've done 1, 2, 3 bolts from the top mount intercooler. As I said, same as if it was a stock intercooler. Undone the hose from your turbo feed, which is the hot pipe, and the cold pipe down here. It's top mount, so they're not very long, but undone them. Also undone the hoses for the blow-off valve, the bypass valve. The bottom hose is still connected, but I've been told by the owner of the car this has been off before, so I don't expect that to have gripped on super tight. It's going to need to move, and that's just the actuator for the turbo. Work that up a little bit. This should just lift up nice and easy. I just lost the one thing I didn't want to lose, but that's all right. We're going to be chasing a lot of bits and pieces. Chuck something in there, just a rag or whatever. Good. Got to make sure these are covered up. You don't want anything falling in there. Always wanting to make sure you know, anytime I'm working on someone's car, I want to make sure they know exactly what I'm doing, where we're up to. That's it, turbo's out, which is good. So we're going to keep, you can hear it's still dripping some coolant, going to let that keep dripping a little bit, some of the coolant out of there. Cover that thing up for now. But that's good. That is a That's not a bad. It's probably taken all up. Maybe that's a couple of hours worth of work. Solid, like really solid hours. Maybe that's a turbo out. So once again, like this is I don't know, done a lot of these turbos, so I know my way around this engine bay. You know, there's still things that, yeah, like a couple of bolts on the turbos that I'd forgotten about, which is fine, just that connect looms and stuff to it, which is, you know, it's okay, just removing the banjo bolts so they don't fall down. That stuff's pretty normal actually, like having other things bolted to the turbo. You know, everything's built not to be modded, but once you start modifying a car or modding a modded car, which is what I've generally been doing, it's sort of the stage 2, 3, 4, whatever you call stages, but the next turbo up happens. So I haven't done a stock turbo upgrade for a little while, but you know, it's going really well. Beautiful car, like I keep saying. It's just nice and clean. It hasn't got 1,000 Ks, it hasn't been thrashed. Everything in it, you know, the oil, the water, everything's like pristine. It's really good. Yeah, but that'll do for now. Next thing we're going to start doing is building the new turbo. There's a couple little things we've got to change on that, and then we'll start looking at installing that, and we'll install that and we'll grab out wastegate actuator, boost control solenoid, and we'll start to plumb that in. It's also got to put the lines on it. We're running different lines, so we're going to run a different oil feed and return line to this, as well as the coolant hoses won't be as bad. We've got to wait for the EGR kit to be able to put one of those hoses on. I'll see, I can't remember from memory if they're running banjo bolts or not, but we'll see what they've got there. Other than that, while we're in this stage, I think I've said already, I do need to get into the cabin to run a line for methanol for this car, and so while you'll never have this access, like this is, there's more room here than you'll ever have without pulling the engine out, and so I'm going to make use of that. Today we're upgrading the stock KO4 turbo from the MPS with a GDX. It's a 2867 a Mamba ball bearing turbo, so similar-ish to Garrett, a lot cheaper of course, but still really well built. It's not like a $200 turbo off eBay, it's good gear. But we're going to do an upgrade for that, and a couple of things we're going to be doing with that. We've got a whole heap of these kits are, as you'd expect from a new kit, these come with everything. They've got a all of the piping in the world, you know, like obviously the longest intercooler bend ever, depending on what you're wanting to do. It's designed to be cut down to length. If we dive into this, quick look. First, let's unwrap the turbo. Bit of an unboxing. Not that unboxings are the most fun, but they're exciting when you do it for the first time. So, yeah, it's a solid unit. It spins beautifully and everything else. Wastegate actuator. It's in there. Is that right? welcome to Australia, if you're not an Aussie. So just got to talk over you guys. This comes with everything, so it's got your oil return line, it's got an oil feed line, which will sit in the top of the turbo. It's also got water feed and return lines, which are all good units. It comes with all of the fittings and hardware, as well as bigger springs if you want to run bigger springs. All your studs for everything that you need, manifold, head studs, manifold, and so your turbo studs to bolt that onto your exhaust manifold, but also your there's studs in there for the dump pipe, which is great. So that's really nice, and they've actually got a nice the studs have a hex head. It looks like maybe a 7, maybe an 8mm if I'm lucky, but probably a 7mm head. It's really nice to have something to screw your studs in when you're going in and out, so that's really good. Everything you'd ever need in a good kick here. The owner of this car decided he wanted to update the boost control actuator, and so he's got a turbo spark one of those. So that's not a difficult job, just to switch them around and get that to bolt on in its place. And so I'll be taking measurements off this, and we will adjust this accordingly and bolt that on. That was obviously a bit too much, but bolt that in its place and make sure that the distances are all set and ready to go. Have a squizzy at this thing, because the sad part about these Mazdas is you buy this beautiful looking turbo and then it gets hidden away, never to be seen. There it is. Look at that awesomeness, turbo upgradedness. Plug up the holes just so don't get any muck or dust in it, which is cool. But that'll do for today. We'll come back and tackle the lines for the turbo next. Then we'll start fitting some boost control solenoids, map sensor, a couple of things like that. So we're going to install a map sensor. This is the mass manifold air pressure is what I'm trying to say. I'm saying it really badly. Here we've got a Bosch. It's down here, but what I thought I'd grab is my old manifold, which I painted black. Same manifold on all the different series of MPS sits on. On your right side, when you're looking at the engine, that's where your you would stick your throttle body, fits in there. While we're here, I'm also going to show this is where we're going to put a spacer for the methanol intake. So we're going to put a methanol spacer on here with an intake that will spray the methanol into there as it goes through. That fits on there, then your throttle body fits back on. But this is what we're actually looking for here on this car. Can I get a focus? This is where your manifold, intake manifold, pressure sensor fits. Fomoco, the stock one, sitting on there. There's two parts to the ERG kit that we're about to install. The first part sits down here and it covers this hole. The other one covers that block off plate here at the back. What I've got here is the two pieces. This one, you can see there's a covering around there, which is the water. This one down here covers the exhaust. Making some headway in this build. I've just spent a good chunk of time underneath this car, tidying up some of the dump pipe, the O2 sensor, rechecking some of the lines around hoses and stuff to do with the turbo system, re-putting on things like some of the guards and a few different things like that, and it's all looking pretty good. Now we're in a space where it's time to put on the intake. Time to actually, there's a lot of plastic. It's all good. This is one of those jobs where it's a simple job, super rewarding. Feels good to do this part of the job. As you'd expect on any high quality product like High Tune Performance, the gear is really comprehensive. This kit comes with options. It has both block off plates and return lines, which is pretty incredible, seeing as most wouldn't have both. Both are actually also have Teflon wrap already on the bolts for a better seal, and it's got extra bolts on top for the MAF sensor, your mass airflow. So it's a really comprehensive kit, which is of course what you would expect from a company like this. We're gonna put it in loosely, see what lines we want. Of course we are running a 3-port boost control solenoid which will play a part because there is a fitting for that in one of our two, and we will run our larger fitting because we are going to have the breather system on this car. So we're going to do that. Also, it comes with a grommet which fits into our, somewhere here, there it is, our mounting bracket there. But I tend to start silicon first and then grommet on these. And so, yeah, look, it was a big build. Big turbo, you know, like a good sized turbo for a stock engine. A methanol system to be able to plug in when you want to do racing, all the accessories, all that sort of stuff. That job actually took almost 2 years. The reason it took 2 years is number one, COVID, but number two, the owner of the car wanted to add some more parts to it. And so when he wanted to add a bonnet scoop to it, it had to be shipped from the States, and that took something like 3 months. During that time, I also broke my leg, mountain bike riding, and so that put another delay. So there's a few delays in the process of building this car. I would say I would have lost 3 months myself, so that's my fault, absolutely. Busting my leg, was unable to lean over and work on engine-based stuff. And then because of the parts that were ordered and the R&D that was needed, some of the turbo, the tuning was just a bit tricky, because at the back of the turbo, where the wastegate actuator was, the aftermarket wastegate actuator needed all sorts of different parts that didn't come with a kit, and needed a lot of R&D and fabrication, which I'd never done before. Usually I'd been given turbos, you know, I bolt stuff on. Yeah, that's what I do. That's my thing. I'm not a mechanic, I'm not a tuner, I just bolt stuff on, all good. And so there's a whole heap of R&D, and so it took quite a long time, because that problem manifested in different ways. We thought it had a boost leak. Turns out it was just the wastegate wasn't being able to open and close was on it. Art was on it. And so, yeah, that was it. You know, we put a head unit in the car, and anyway, let's watch that bit because that may be of interest to people too. So this the standard cars have not a bad stereo, but we're going to update this so it has a little bit more oomph and a little bit more controllability. Touchscreens have all the GPS and all that sort of stuff as well, Bluetooth and all those things which are you'd expect for a touchscreen. So we're going to upgrade it, and this is how you do it. The first thing you got to do is remove this top piece of the trim. I'm keeping the cloth up here. It's ripping hot here today. Simple trim removal tool. Pry it in there, grab it near the end, get enough, and it'll just pull out really. It's already loose, obviously, but it will pull out quite easily. There's just one connector. Press that in, unconnect it, and we're ready to do the next bit. With that out of the way and our little plug unconnected, you can see 2 screws. So we're going to just undo that one-handed while we hold the camera. The beauty of the cup holder. Grab the next one. So easy, you can actually do it one-handed. There we go. Once those are undone, oh, can I do it one-handed? So I did need to put the camera down to give that the pull it needed, and as you can see, the whole thing just slides out towards you. You can see there's just that little bit. Now there is going to be a, just slide that back, there is going to be a bunch of pins behind it, which essentially work the same sort of way. There'll be a press which will remove that clip on whatever it is, of various formats. So let's have a look. Everyone do that. I just don't want to drop this on anything, but if I look down there, you should be able to see. Yeah, in there you'll be able to see all the pins and stuff. So basic clip on the bottom on that one, basic clip on the bottom on that one. This one was a side clip, so that was a little bit of a different one. So instead of going top and bottom, you press on the side, but there's the other two. Clip on the bottom, clip on the bottom. Nice giant cavity for a nice new stereo. So here's our or whatever you want to call it, head unit. Be careful with that. But this thing is going to be awesome. I'm just going to place that down there carefully, and in the box is essentially an entire plug and play kit, which this thing is great. So often when you're doing head units, the grey with the line, the whites, the different colours you see in there, you know, your front right, front left, back right, back left, all that sort of stuff. But hey, look, there's a side clip. Just plug it in. So let's get to putting the wires in first. Then we will look at getting ready to put the head unit in. It's been a while since I've used an in-on kit. I don't know how to even say it. I actually had one years ago in a previous car, and back when probably they were starting, they were okay. But this kit is nuts. It came with a trim removal tool in the box. I've never seen that in a car audio install, which is pretty good. Even the cat is excited about it. Isn't that right? Yeah. What do you reckon? Yeah. So yeah, that's impressive. Yeah, let's install this thing. So we've plugged everything into the back of our unit there. I'm just gonna gently set that here for now. Always paranoid about nice big screens and stuff here. But we'll just see how she works. Power it up. Oh, look, straight away. There we go. All good. See if she powers off. There you go. Working really well. We'll run some more. Just plugged in the mic. We'll just run some more stuff. This is the fun part, trying to make everything fit nice and neatly and functionally. So, which is the next little part of the install. So just having a play with this unit, and you can see here if hit mode, it changes through all the different settings. Video, no videos there yet. Different AUX in. Try another one. Radio. Music. So they're all there. All the good stuff. You can also go through normal thing. You'll see volume control. Controls it all, and it's all functioning really well, and that is like a massive upgrade. That looks so good, even with the cob in its access port and that normal holder there. It's still, you just lose the corner, which is pretty much, there's no touch. Oh, there's a little bit of touch screen there, the back, but yeah, it's pretty good. So pretty happy, man. That looks nice. I'll clean up, and it's good. From there, the car tuning took place. It took a while, but once the car was finished and ready to hand back to the owner, the absolute worst possible scenario took place. I wasn't driving the car when it happened, but the end result was 2 days before handing it back to the owner, the car was written off. The owner, understandably upset, had to wait a little bit longer to get his car. This took me a while to recover personally, mentally, and of course financially. But with the help of some friends, we found another car. We flew about 1,300 kilometres and picked up a brand new MPS3 ready to mod and start the process all over again. I've got to say just how thankful I am to my friends and my family for supporting me through this. And we then started the journey with Ash of doing it all over again. Alrighty, this is so bad. Let's turn you off. Totally gutted. Really should be paying attention to what I'm doing here. You're on the steering wheel. Okay. So of course it goes without saying a whole heap of work took place to pull the old black car apart, grab all of the salvageable parts off it, order the parts that were then needed to be able to rebuild the white one, especially the parts that were broken, which took a bit more time. And then once again, with the incredible help of Ash and the rest of the boys, thank you so much for helping dismantle the black car. The help of Ash and Rylan came and gave a hand too. We were able to build the white car in pretty record time. So after stripping the Mazda of all of the usable parts, we then decided to try and sell some parts to recoup some money, but the body itself then went away for scrap. And it was pretty hard seeing it getting dumped on the scrap pile. Today's the day. This is take 2. Taking the second Mazda in to do the same job as we did the first time round. The cool thing about this is that we've been so blessed by incredible friends, incredible family, support from the church that I'm part of to do this again. And so huge thank you to everyone that's been involved in that. And yeah, and let's go build a car. So this car is stock as a rock. Get some light in here. Just taking the intake off. Always put stuff in turbos and make sure nothing can fall into bits that we don't want it to fall into. So we've got rags everywhere they need to be. Plenty of it hanging out so we don't forget about it as well. A lot of some of these hoses for the system have got to come off. Turbo's got to come off, so we're about to dive into heat shields. But just while I'm here, I'm seeing our we've got to get fuel pump off. We've got to do the boost control solenoid. Here we've got our ERG valve, and
So all that was next was to get the car wheel aligned, which we actually had to go back a couple of times just to get it to settle and make sure it was all good. Had to do a few little mods at home, just relocating a few different pieces that the owner wanted, and then tuning. Got to say, I'm pretty excited that this car's almost finished. It has been an incredibly long journey. The owner's happy, I'm happy, confident with it, really happy with the work that's been done on it. And yeah, it's going to be good. He's going to love it. Yeah, it's been both cars have been good. And actually, oddly enough, today we took the old shell to scrap, and now we're the owner's coming to pick up the white car on the same day, and that just happened to be the days. Bit of a fluke that's worked out. So anyway, I'm gonna keep cleaning, and you don't have to watch me do that. It's boring. But thanks for journeying with this one, because it's definitely been a journey. Cool. Cheers, guys. Hey guys, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. Sorry.
Are you recording?
That's all right.
Recording him driving off. What was really meant to be a small job to install a turbo and a few mods turned into a 2-year project, which became a project of passion to be able to help a guy. Also, because it didn't go as smoothly, because the parts didn't fit that were ordered, and because it was well outside of my experience, even though I've done, dozens of turbos in the Mazdas, this was tricky. This was different. The parts didn't match up, and because of that, it was just a really difficult build. But my name's attached to it, so I want it to be right. So we got the car right, and it is an absolute weapon and a beautiful car combined. It had done 70,000 kilometres. The thing was amazing. So all that's left is to give it a good wash. Been sitting around my place for a couple of years, and those that have seen my Mazda recently know that the paint's stuffed, it's been weathered, it's been outside. This other one, I had a tarp over it when I wasn't using it, but in true complete fashion, I drove it a lot to make sure that it was good in different conditions. I drove it to Melbourne to make sure it was good in the city, and went well on the freeway. I drove around town, drove it in the rain, drove it in the sun. But then when I wasn't testing it and going through just usual cycles to make sure it's not leaking and all that sort of stuff, sitting under a car cover that had been sitting around for 2 years. So I'm sitting in a space then where a guy's dropped a car off to me to get mods done. It's taken a long time, and it's due to give back, and now I don't have a car to give back. There's insurance, there's stuff in it, but at the end of the day, I was given a car. My name's attached to it, and I want to give it back to him. But the car's done, it's ridden off, it's stuffed. All that work, 2 years worth of fine tuning, 2 years worth of R&D, 2 years worth of work gone. Now this is, already, I want to say financially, like it was horrific. You don't put 2 years into something, and I'm not a mechanic, so I don't charge mechanic rates. It was just like this token payment early on, and the owner was generous and gave more money for the different jobs and all that. And it wasn't that anyone was trying to be tight or anything. It's just, if you were to pay a professional workshop for that, a workshop that has insurance and all that sort of stuff, they you'd probably put another zero on everything that we're working on, and rightly so. They got to pay rates, insurance, wages, and it's their livelihood, all that sort of stuff. But a guy dropped a car off to get modded, and I wanted to hand him a car back because that's what you do, right? So I got to say that it spiraled me into some really poor mental health, knowing that I'd done nothing wrong, knowing that the owner had done nothing wrong, and knowing that, you know, their circumstances outside of our control took place, and yeah, the car gets ridden off. The driver was suffering some mental health stuff at the time, and so I find myself caught in this space of wanting to look after the owner. Number one, of course, it's his car. He's the victim, right? But then mental health's in the mix, and the guy that was driving the car, like, I want to look after him, protect him. Like, the mental health is to blame. It's not him. And then, meanwhile, my own mental health is suffering because I'm caught in the middle of this stuff. Like, it's horrendous, right? So I ended up taking a bit of time off work. There were other things at play. There was work also had some horrific things happening, and this was sort of the icing on the cake, or the straw that broke the camel's back. And I took some time off. My doctor and counsellor and then psychologist all said that I'd burnt out, and it wasn't any one thing, but I've got to say this was a pretty major part of that, but there's lots of other contributing factors to it. And so right now I just want to, I guess, talk to those in the car industry and that are passionate about cars, that, you know, mental health's no joke. You know, sometimes, and hey, look, the MPS community is no exception. Some people can be really harsh, and I know they think they're funny, but I want to say you're not. When you're picking on people's cars, or you're having a jab at people, like, generally people do it because they've got their own insecurities and they're trying to elevate their own status by putting somebody else down. You know, that's basic bullying, right? It's like, well, actually I'm inferior, so I will make myself feel better by putting somebody down, whether it's like keyboard warriors or whatever. And I know through my journey with the MPS community, there's been, you know, the people that have bagged me out the most, usually the ones that are driving pretty stock cars, or the guys that paid somebody else to work on their cars. It's like, well, it's okay, you do you, but like, the whole reason that I did what I did for that big season was to be able to encourage people to have a go themselves. That's the reason for the YouTube channel. That was the whole point, right? Motivate people to have a go. The people can be nasty and like, right, yeah, honestly, it doesn't really worry me, but you go, it does worry some people. Some people's identity is pretty caught up in their car or in their space and that sort of thing. In that time, my identity was very much caught up in my name. Like, man, somebody entrusted me with something. I said I would do something, and your word is your bond. You know, I owe this guy a car. You know, the old Fast and Furious. You know, I owe this guy a 10-second car. So I am so blessed to have incredible friends and incredible family, because what happened next is next level. So a friend, a mate who's a mechanic, said, hey, I would hate if that happened to me. And he was feeling for me. And so rather than just going, you know, pat on the back, he said, let's do something about it. And so we found another car, a white car, with conversations with the owner. He said, that looks great. So we flew to Newcastle, if you live up there, but if you're in Victoria, Newcastle, and picked up this car and drove what was, I don't know, 1,1300 kilometres back to Ballarat, got the car roadworthied. And so, look, yeah, that's it, hey. We finally finished the second car. I'm so blessed to have good mates. Cannot thank Ash enough for his help. We the rest of the blokes that came, Josh with the use of the trailer and running around, all that sort of stuff. We're just so blessed. I've just been so blessed to have good mates that just went all out, next level, to be able to not only pull the old car to pieces, but then in the space of essentially a week, and it's got to say it's good to have a mechanic on hand, put everything back together, and then not only that, but to be able to problem solve, get it all running, to then get all the suspension done. And I was very blessed to have friends that helped and didn't, just were incredibly generous with their time for getting everything trued up and suspension work done. The head units and all that sort of stuff all went in really well for the times when he wanted to race. We had a different relocation plan for the methanol kit, so that took a bit longer because it was a different space, so a lot more R&D went into it, and the relocation of that was a different job again. It was a rush job, I got to be honest. It wasn't as, it's not the most proudest work that I've ever done, but I did need the car done, and it was because it was different. I could have just laid it all in because we did it, we had it installed, but he wanted a different spot, so that's okay. So we did that, did what the owner asked, and it worked great, worked fine. And so we got to the point where it was time to tune the car, and the tuner that we've been using, I've been using for years, wasn't able to do it. It's not tuning anymore, and so it got to the point where I had to actually call it and say, look, I don't have the capacity and time to tune it again. The R&D that went into the first time around, that was months, because tuning goes forever. You can take it into a dyno and get it all done in one spot, but as you're refining and all that sort of stuff and problem solving things, it just takes time. And so the car was running great, driving around was all good. The owner came down, picked the car up, and took it home and smiles all around, loved it. It needed a couple of tweaks, which is the tuning part, right? Still chat to the owner. At some point, I really want to do another video where we get to see the finished product fully tuned. It for the second time. It fully tuned once. Let's go again. It's the car is just such a beautiful car. And I say that all honesty. It's been a privilege to work on such a nice car, a nice vehicle. Super clean. The black one was clean. The white one had more Ks on it, but it had been immaculately looked after, and that thing's great. And so, anyway, that's what I've been doing for the last few years. If you've been wondering what Tim's Garage has been ticking away and where it went, there's been times when I haven't been working on it, times when I've been riding bikes. For those that care, I've got a second YouTube channel called Mountain Bike Life Balance, and that's just about getting out on the bike and living sort of that mountain bike community life where you hang out with mates, go for a ride, go camping, all that sort of stuff, and it's just good fun, so a bit of that's going on. But mostly, I'm still working on cars, still passionate about it. The Mazda's at the end of its life. I've been wrestling for a long time about do I fix it up and drive that forever, but it's at a point where it's time to move away from my Mazda. As much as I love it, it needs some work. It needs some TLC. The paint's gone, the running gear, the driveline needs a bit of TLC, it needs some bushes, and it just needs some loving. Having said that, the engine, turbo, all that stuff, she's pretty awesome. So the plan is to try and sell it. I'd like to sell it to someone that's passionate and will fix it back up to the way it deserves to be. Worst case scenario, I'll part it out. But anyway, that's a side story. This episode is all about the Mazda. If you've hung on this long, I want to say thank you for hanging on this long. It's a long video. Thank you for supporting. To the guys that lent a hand, the sweat equity, the guys that got alongside me, lost knuckles underneath the car, bled for it, did the work. I want to say a huge thank you. To the owner of the Mazda, I want to say thanks, mate. You've been an absolute champion through a really tough season, and all the best with your health into the future, and really look forward to coming and hanging out and seeing the car when she's fully dialed in. It's a beast, and it's just been a real honour to do work for you in the past, and and I'm sorry I couldn't finish the second one. I would have loved to, but I just had to draw it because of where my headspace was and where life was at. So to all the mates that helped, to all the MPS community, there's been times when I've reached out to different guys in different workshops and different parts companies, and they've come to the party and been super supportive. To Ray, thanks so much, mate, for the tuning. You were just such a champion through that, because it was a journey, man. It wasn't a straightforward journey. You're amazing in that. And look, I guess that's it, guys. Thank you for watching. If you're keen to see more videos, like and subscribe. There are some things coming out that'll be a bit more. Look, I'm still not pumping out. I'm not going to be pumping out weekly videos. And this one took me 4 years, seriously. But there's going to be some videos coming out, some little bits and pieces and stuff here everywhere. And just as they come, I will pump them out. There'll be seasons when there's lots of videos. There'll be seasons where I'm riding mountain bikes, and there'll be videos on that channel. There'll be seasons when we're coming into winter. I'm still riding bikes, but I'll be working on cars a bit more because it's cold outside and I'm soft. Anyway, so it'll be cool. Next video to probably come out will be the new car. I've got a new car, and so not really modding that too much, but doing a bit of stuff. We'll see that, and of course fixes. I've been saying it's going to be running for the last few years, but we will be working on fixes. I'm not going to say it's going to be running and driving, but I will say I'm going to be working on fixes because the thing's awesome, and I can't wait to get that driving around. So anyway, thanks guys.